Hello, my name is Nuhu Mohammed Gali, a PhD candidate at the School of Life and Earth Sciences, the University of Tsukuba, Japan. As part of my doctoral research, in this conference, I present to you my research paper on climate change adaptation interventions in agriculture and sustainable development through South-South cooperation in sub-Saharan Africa. This is my research outline. According to the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the impact of climate change poses a significant threat to agriculture and food security across the sub-Saharan African region. Due to this, African countries have initiated a governance system for adapting and responding to climate change in their nationally determined contributions. Despite the implementation limitations that African countries have faced in terms of implementing some of the initiatives, some of their initiatives and strategies to adapt to climatic changes, Africa's adaptation initiatives highlighted the need to strengthen and expand adaptation responses. So, in my research, I looked at the potential of South-South cooperation in relation to climate action for agriculture and sustainable development across the African sub-region. So to achieve this objective, I looked at literature. I did some literature review of past studies on the concept of South-South cooperation and its influence or its potential so far as implementation of adaptation interventions is concerned. I also did some content analysis of reports and policies that is looking at implementation of climate action and implementation of some policies. So I look at the nationally determined contribution of African countries. I look at the strategy and action plan of Food and Agriculture Organization so far as South-South cooperation is concerned and the implementation of adaptation action across Africa. I then look at the UNFCCC Technology Executive Committee report to see the intervention or action plan that is being taken so far as adaptation across Africa is concerned and how this can influence the achievement of African countries' sustainable development goals. So the figure below here shows the north-south divide of the world. So the dark in color shows the south geographical area of the world, whilst the blue in color shows the north geographical area, global north geographical area of the world. Basically, the global south is made up of African countries, countries in Latin America, and some countries in Asia. Basically, these countries depend on agriculture. Their economy revolves around agriculture, and climatic conditions across this region is very severe, which impacts on overall performance of the agriculture sector. So by way of definition and modalities of South-South cooperation basically is mutual sharing and exchange of key developmental solution in terms of sharing of policies, sharing of experiences and good practices. It has to do with technology transfer and sharing of resources among countries in the global south. So according to the Food and Agriculture Organization, South-South cooperation could be an effective instrument for catalyzing agricultural development so far as implementation of agricultural policies are concerned, so far as of implementation of climatic actions are also concerned. So it has to do with some key modalities so far as South-South cooperation is concerned, so far as cooperation between countries in the global South is concerned. So to ensure demand-driven South-South cooperation initiatives at country and regional level, there is the need to build national and institutional capacities. So South-South cooperation is looking at how institutional capacities can be built across nations of the global south, that's across developing nations, how developing country nations in sub-Saharan Africa can collaborate in terms of building their institutional capacities. So it is looking at joint research projects, creation of knowledge network among institutions within the SAP region. It's also looking at how member countries across the sub-Saharan African region can collaborate in terms of formal education paths, in terms of provision of scholarships, fellowship, internship, and apprenticeships, so that countries can share, can build the capacities of their institutions to implement some of their policies so far as climate action is concerned. So South-South cooperation, it has to do with policy dialogue. Here, policy dialogue is looking at some support in terms of countries sharing ideas on implementation of their policies and how they can achieve a common goal of their climatic action. Then another modality has to do with technology exchange, where it is looking at how countries can share common strategies on how to manage resources so far as implementation of climatic action is concerned, in terms of inputs, in terms of small machinery, in terms of improved varieties, how countries can support each other in terms of uptake of technologies, in terms of the need to share knowledge and capacity needs, in terms of exchange of technological knowledge across countries in the sub-region. My next section looks at South-South cooperation initiatives for climate change adaptation, agriculture, and sustainable development. So here I looked at some adaptation initiatives that are being implemented through South-South cooperation in order to achieve sustainable development goals. So I look at the Food and Agriculture Organization South-South cooperation, which is looking at technology exchange with local farmers and capacity development. So basically here transformative technologies are being placed in the hands of farmers, giving them the tools to change their practices in order to adapt to the threats of climate change. It is the strategy here is looking at peer-to-peer learning and demonstrations. Basically, another intervention is looking at adaptation learning program, where it's focusing on community-based adaptation and capacity building. It's looking at how to achieve zero hunger and to end poverty reduction across the sub-Saharan African sub-region. And it's looking at management of indigenous knowledge and technology transfer among farmers. Another one is the learning from experiences with small-scale irrigation, which is looking at how agriculture can be done all year round across the sub-Saharan African region in terms of tapping on small-scale irrigation through technology transfer between one nation to another, which can help in building the resilience of agricultural system so far as climate change is concerned. My next section looks at achievement of SDG through climate action in Africa and South-South cooperation. So here I look at the linkage between member countries' nationally determined contributions and achievement of sustainable development goals. So I relied on a data from the German Development Institute, which is the database was gathered in 2019. So I found that climate action in many African countries aim to strengthen the resilience of the poor to impacts of climate change through the achievement of relative poverty reduction. Another finding in terms of zero hunger is that climate smart agriculture is at the core of many African countries' target to end hunger. Climate smart and sustainable agriculture is many actions are looking at how climate smart agriculture can be enhanced to influence resilience of the system and resilience of farmers to climatic threats. Climate action are being mainstream in sustainable development, but there are some barriers to implementation so far as climate action is concerned in Africa. So I then looked at the last section, look at challenges to South-South cooperation and implementation of adaptation action in Africa, and I found that inadequate transboundary policy and regulatory frameworks are the limitations so far as implementation of adaptation action through South-South cooperation across the African sub-region is concerned. There's limited capacity in terms of finance and other resources. Development priority disparities between countries is also a limiting factor. Each country has its priority so far as development and climatic action is concerned, so it's difficult to collaborate. Poor international communication and coordination practices. There's little coordination and little dialogue so far as policy implementation is concerned, which is a barrier to the implementation of climatic action through South-South cooperation. And there's missing local engagement. The top-down approach to policy implementation is affecting implementation of adaptation in interventions, especially at the local level. Has something to do from the national level to the regional level to the sub-regional level and to the national level. There's that kind of missing link so far as implementation is of adaptation action is concerned. So by way of conclusion, the implementation of climate change measures for agriculture in Africa can be linked to the achievement of its SDG. And the initiative I assess shows that some institutional support to South-South cooperation for knowledge exchange, technology transfer, and capacity development provides some potential for climate-smart agriculture development. And South-South cooperation provides potential for integrating approaches and collaboration for the exchange of cost-effective technologies for adaptation intervention. And the potential of South-South cooperation largely remains untapped due to some challenges resulting from inadequate transboundary policy and regulatory frameworks. These are my references, and thank you for listening. Yeah, I can be rich through my email address. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you.